My family said, "You're not welcome at Christmas. It's only for parents now." I smiled and booked a luxury cruise instead. When I posted photos from the deck, their messages didn't stop coming. I should have seen it coming when my sister-in-law Sharon cornered me at Thanksgiving dinner with that saccharine smile plastered across her face. You know the type, the one that doesn't quite reach her eyes, the one that says she's about to deliver news she thinks will devastate you, but that she's secretly thrilled about. "Michelle," she said, touching my arm with her perfectly manicured nails, "I need to talk to you about something important. I was 34 years old, single by choice after a messy divorce 3 years prior, and thoroughly content with my life as a pediatric nurse practitioner. I had my own house, a rescue dog named Cooper, and enough savings to live comfortably. What I didn't have were children, and in my family that apparently made me less than." "Sure, what's up?" I asked, taking a sip of my wine. Sharon glanced around conspiratorially as if she were about to share state secrets. "Well, your brother Michael and I have been talking with your parents, and we've decided to make Christmas a bit more intimate this year. You know, just the grandparents and parents, a family event, really." I blinked at her. "I'm sorry, what?" "It's nothing personal," she continued, her voice tripping with false sympathy. "It's just that with little Aiden and Emma, we want to focus on creating magical memories for the kids, and your parents are getting older. They want to spend the holidays with their grandchildren. It makes sense, doesn't it?" My stomach dropped, but I kept my expression neutral. "So, you're uninviting me from Christmas?" "We're not uninviting you," Sharon protested, though her smile never wavered. "We're just restructuring the holiday. It's only for parents now. Surely you understand." I looked past her to where my brother Michael stood, laughing with our father. He didn't even have the decency to tell me himself. My mother was in the kitchen with my sister Jessica, who had 2 kids of her own and was apparently included in this new parents-only policy. "Does Jessica know about this?" I asked. "Of course, she thinks it's a wonderful idea. More room for the kids to play, less chaos with too many adults around." The thing is, I'd always been close with my family. After my divorce from Daniel, they'd been my support system. Or so I thought. I'd shown up to every birthday party, every school play, every family barbecue. I was Aunt Michelle, the cool aunt who brought thoughtful presents and actually got down on the floor to play with the kids. But apparently that meant nothing when measured against my lack of a parental title. I finished my wine in one long gulp. "Well, thanks for letting me know." Sharon looked almost disappointed that I hadn't made a scene. "You're taking this so well. I knew you'd understand. Maybe next year, if you meet someone and settle down, things will be different." I excused myself and found my parents in the living room. My father, Robert, was a retired accountant with salt and pepper hair and reading glasses perpetually perched on his nose. My mother, Patricia, had been a school teacher for 30 years before retiring. "Dad, Mom, can we talk?" I asked. My father looked up from his newspaper. "What is it, sweetie?" "Sharon just told me I'm not invited to Christmas this year, that it's only for parents now." My mother exchanged a glance with my father. "Michelle, honey, you have to understand. We're not getting any younger, and we want to focus on making memories with our grandchildren while we still can." "I'm your child," I said, my voice cracking despite my best efforts. "Doesn't that count for something?" "Of course it does," my father said, but his tone was dismissive. "But you're an adult. You can celebrate Christmas however you want. The kids need this magic, this tradition, and I don't. My mother, don't be dramatic, Michelle. You'll have your own family someday, and then you'll understand." That was the moment something inside me crystallized. I realized that to them, I was incomplete. My career, my home, my life. None of it mattered because I hadn't reproduced. I was less than other than someone to be excluded when more important family members needed space. I left Thanksgiving dinner early, claiming a headache. Cooper greeted me at the door with his usual enthusiasm, and I buried my face in his fur and cried. But by the time I woke up the next morning, the tears had dried and been replaced with something else entirely. Determination. I opened my laptop and started searching. If my family wanted to exclude me from their precious Christmas celebration, fine. I'd create my own celebration, and it would be so spectacular that they'd see exactly what they were missing. Within an hour, I'd found it. A 12-day luxury Christmas cruise through the Caribbean. the Caribbean, departing December 20th and returning January 1st. The ship was a floating palace, multiple pools, a spa, gourmet restaurants, evening shows, and stops in St. Thomas, St. Martin, and the Bahamas. The price tag was steep, but I had the money. I'd been saving for a rainy day, and apparently that day had arrived. I clicked book now with a sense of satisfaction I hadn't felt in weeks. Over the next few weeks, I prepared. I went shopping and bought myself a whole new wardrobe, sundresses, swimsuits, elegant evening wear, things I'd never splurged on before. I got my hair done, treating myself to highlights that made me feel like a different person. I even booked a massage and facial at a luxury spa to prep for the trip. My family noticed my improved mood, but misinterpreted it completely. At our monthly family dinner in early December, Sharon pulled me aside again. "I'm so glad you're taking the Christmas thing well," she said. "I was worried you'd be upset." "Why would I be upset?" I asked sweetly. "You're right. I can celebrate however I want." She looked relieved. "Exactly. So what are your plans? Quiet day at home with Cooper? Something like that?" I said, not elaborating. Michael approached, beer in hand. "Hey sis, no hard feelings about Christmas, right? It's just easier this way." I looked at my brother, the person I'd once been closest to growing up. We'd shared secrets, defended each other, been each other's confidants. Now he couldn't even look me in the eye. "No hard feelings," I said, but we both knew it was a lie. The week before Christmas, I started my social media campaign. I posted a photo of my packed suitcase with a caption, "When one door closes, another one opens to paradise," boarding a 12-day luxury cruise through the Caribbean tomorrow. Solo travel has never looked so good. The responses started immediately. Friends from work commented with excited emojis. My college roommate Jennifer wrote, "Yes, girl, you deserve this." Even some distant cousins chimed in with supportive messages. Noticeably absent. Any comments from my immediate family? December 20th arrived, and I drove myself to the port in Miami. The ship was even more magnificent in person, towering stories high, gleaming white against the blue sky. I checked in, was escorted to my balcony stateroom, and stood on my private deck looking out at the ocean. This was it. This was my Christmas, and it was going to be extraordinary. That evening, after the ship had set sail, I dressed in a gorgeous emerald green cocktail dress and went to the welcome dinner. The dining room was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, and a menu that read like poetry. I was seated at a table with 3 other solo travelers. Marcus, a divorced businessman from Chicago, Rachel, a widow in her 50s, who was taking her first vacation in years, and David, a chef from New York who was treating himself after a successful year. We clicked immediately, bonding over our shared love of adventure and our various reasons for traveling alone during the holidays. Marcus told jokes that had me laughing until my sides hurt. Rachel shared stories about her late husband that were both heartbreaking and beautiful. David gave us insider information about the ship's restaurants and which dishes to order. After dinner, I returned to my room and took my first photo, a selfie on my balcony with the ocean stretching out behind me, the ship's lights twinkling in the reflection. I was smiling genuinely for the first time in weeks. I posted it with the caption, "Day 1 of my Christmas adventure. The ocean is my family tonight, and it's more welcoming than you'd expect." Dinner was incredible. Lobster thermidor and chocolate soule. Tomorrow we duck in St. Thomas. Living my best life doesn't even begin to cover it. I watched as the likes and comments rolled in. Friends were ecstatic for me. Then I saw it. My sister Jessica had viewed the post. No comment, just a view. Then Sharon, then my mother. I smiled and turned off my phone. But sleep didn't come easily that first night. Despite my bravado, despite the beautiful dinner and the new friends, there was still a hollow ache in my chest. I kept thinking about past Christmases, helping my mom bake cookies while Michael and I snuck dough when she wasn't looking, watching Jessica's face light up when she opened presents, the warmth of being surrounded by people who were supposed to love you unconditionally. I got up and went back out to the balcony, wrapping myself in the complimentary robe. The ocean was dark and vast, illuminated only by the moon and the ship's lights. I called my best friend from college, Amanda, who lived in Seattle. "Em." She answered on the second ring. How's the cruise? Your post looked amazing. It is amazing, I said, and my voice cracked. But Amanda, I'm out here in the middle of the ocean, and I still feel so discarded. Oh, honey, she said softly. What they did was unforgivable. You know that, right? This isn't about you not being enough. This is about them being too small to see your worth. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting. I admit it. If maybe I should have just accepted it quietly. Absolutely not, Amanda said firmly. You're not overreacting. They told you that you don't matter because you made different life choices than they did. That's not something you accept quietly. That's something you stand up against. And look at you. You're on a freaking luxury cruise living your best life. That takes courage. We talked for another hour, and by the time we hung up, I felt steadier. Amanda reminded me that this trip wasn't just about showing my family what they were missing. It was about showing myself what I deserved. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing incessantly. Dozens of notifications. My post had gotten even more traction overnight. But more interestingly, I had a text from an unknown number. Michelle, this is Karen, your dad's sister. I just saw your post and I'm absolutely furious with your parents. What they did is inexcusable. I want you to know that you're always welcome at my house for any holiday. Always. Your family. Period. Love you, sweetie. I stared at that message, tears pricking my eyes. Aunt Karen had always been the coolest aunt, the one who sent birthday cards with actual money in them, the one who remembered important details about my life. Knowing I had her support meant more than I could express. I texted back, "Thank you, Aunt Karen. That means everything to me. I love you too." More messages trickled in throughout the morning. My cousin Ryan, Karen's son, sent me a message saying he was disappointed in his uncle and aunt. My father's brother, Uncle Tom, called me directly. "Michelle, I just heard what happened," he said, his voice tight with anger. "Your father called me yesterday to wish me a Merry Christmas, and when I asked if you were there, he got all quiet and weird." Sharon finally told me the truth. I'm appalled. "Uncle Tom, no! Let me finish," he interrupted. "I've watched you grow into an incredible woman. You're a nurse practitioner helping kids every single day. You own your own home. You're kind, generous, and you've never asked for anything from anyone. The fact that they excluded you because you don't have children is disgusting. I told your father as much." "What did he say?" I asked, curious despite myself. "He tried to justify it at first. Said something about making things easier for the grandkids. I told him that what he actually made was a massive mistake and that he was going to lose you if he didn't fix it. Sharon's influence has gotten out of hand and your parents have been enablers. I processed this information. So the cracks were showing in their perfect parents only Christmas. Good. Thank you for standing up for me. I said always, kiddo. Now you go enjoy that cruise and post 1,000 more pictures. Make them see exactly what they're missing." After that call, I felt recharged. I got ready for the day, putting on a new turquoise sundress and my favorite sandals. I met Marcus, Rachel, and David for breakfast at the buffet, which was spread with more food than I'd seen in my life. Made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, pastries from heaven, and coffee so good I wanted to cry. The next morning, I woke up to the sight of St. Thomas outside my window. The island was gorgeous, lush green mountains meeting turquoise water. I had booked an excursion to Min's Bay, consistently rated one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. I spent the day swimming in water so clear I could see my toes, lounging under a palm tree with a tropical drink, and taking photo after photo. The sun on my skin felt like healing. Every wave that washed over my feet seemed to carry away a little more of the hurt I've been carrying. That evening, after a long shower to wash off the salt and sand, I sat down to organize my photos. There were so many good ones that choosing was hard. I finally settled on a carousel, me in a bikini on the beach, a close-up of my tropical drink with the ocean in the background, a sunset shot that looked like it belonged in a magazine, and one of me with my feet in the water, head thrown back in genuine laughter. The caption read, "St. Thomas exceeded every expectation, spent the day at Man's Bay, possibly the most beautiful beach I've ever seen. The water was like swimming in liquid crystals. Had a rum punch that could convert a teetotaler. This is what Christmas looks like when you choose yourself first." No regrets. I hit post and watched the engagement explode immediately. Friends, colleagues, even a few former patients' parents were commenting. But what caught my attention was a comment from Denise, one of Michael's closest friends. Michelle, you look happier than I've seen you in years. Your family's loss is definitely the Caribbean's game. Keep shining. I liked her comment, knowing full well that Michael would see it. Within minutes, I had a text from him. Can we please talk? This is getting out of hand. I typed back, I'm on vacation, Michael. You made it clear I wasn't needed for your holiday. I'm making the most of mine. We can talk when I get back. Maybe. The maybe was petty. I knew it. But it felt good. This time, the responses from my family came quickly. Jessica sent me a private message. Your photos look amazing. We're having a nice time, too. I didn't respond. Then came a text from my mother. Michelle, your father and I are glad you're having fun, but don't you think you're being a bit excessive with all these posts? It seems like you're trying to make a point. I texted back, just sharing my vacation like everyone else does. Isn't that what social media is for? She didn't reply. The next few days were a blur of perfection. In St. Martin, I went on a catamaran snorkeling tour and saw sea turtles. The guide, a local man named Pierre, pointed out different species of fish and showed us the best spots to see marine life. When a sea turtle swam right up to me, close enough to touch, I felt like I'd been blessed by the ocean itself. I posted a video of me swimming alongside one with the caption, New friend alert. Sea turtles are better company than some humans I know. The engagement on that post was incredible. People were sharing it, tagging their friends, using it as inspiration for their own trips. But buried in the comments was one from Sharon. Very mature, Michelle, I replied publicly. Thank you. I'm really growing as a person on this trip. Self-discovery is amazing. She didn't respond, but I knew she was seething. That night at dinner, Rachel noticed I kept checking my phone and smiling. What's got you so entertained? She asked, sipping her wine. My family's imploding, I admitted. They're realizing that excluding me was a massive mistake, and I'm over here living my absolute best life. Marcus laughed. I love it. What prompted this whole revenge vacation anyway? I told them the full story. Thanksgiving, Sharon's announcement, my parents' complicity, Jessica's silence, Michael's cowardice. They listened with increasing expressions of shock and disgust. That's barbaric, David said when I finished. You don't exclude family because they made different life choices. My sister doesn't have kids either, and we'd never dream of cutting her out. Exactly. Rachel added, I have 3 kids, and you know what? Some of my most meaningful relationships are with my friends who don't have children. They have different perspectives, different experiences. They enrich my life. Your family's myopic. The best part, I said, feeling bold from the wine, is that I'm posting all these photos and they're seeing exactly what they're missing. Not just missing me, missing out on understanding that happiness doesn't look just one way. Keep posting, Marcus encouraged. Let them squirm. So I did. In the Bahamas, I went swimming with dolphins. The experience was surreal, these intelligent, playful creatures interacting with me like I was one of them. One dolphin, a female named Luna, according to our guide, seemed particularly attached to me. She kept swimming back, clicking and chirping, pressing her nose to my hand. The photo of me kissing a dolphin's nose got over 300 likes within an hour. I captioned it. She showed me more affection in 30 seconds than I've gotten from some people all year. Dolphins greater than humans. My phone started ringing almost immediately. It was my mother. I let it go to voicemail. Then my father voicemail. Jessica called 3 times in a row. I finally answered. What? Jessica, M. Please stop, she said, and I could hear tears in her voice. You're tearing the family apart with these posts. I'm tearing the family apart, I said incredulously. You all decided I wasn't family enough to celebrate Christmas with. I'm just living my life, but you're doing it so publicly. It's humiliating for them. Oh, I'm so sorry that my joy is inconvenient for you, I said sarcastically. Tell me, Jessica, were you thinking about my humiliation when you all decided I wasn't welcome? When you let Sharon dictate that I wasn't important enough to include? I'm sorry, she whispered. I should have stood up for you. I know that now. Yeah, you should have, but you didn't. So now I'm standing up for myself. And if that makes people uncomfortable, well, maybe they should have thought about that before they made me feel like I was disposable. I hung up before she could respond. That night, I couldn't sleep again. The adrenaline from confronting Jessica had me wired. I went to the ship's 24-hour cafe and got a cup of chamomile tea. That's where Marcus found me sitting by a window overlooking the dark ocean. Couldn't sleep either? He asked, sitting down across from me. Family drama has me too keyed up, I admitted. He nodded sympathetically. You know, when my wife and I divorced, her family tried to exclude me from everything. They'd have parties and gatherings and forget to tell me, even though my kids would be there. It was their way of punishing me for the divorce, even though it was mutual. How did you handle it? I asked. I stopped caring about their approval, he said simply. I realized that I was letting these people who clearly didn't value me dictate my emotional state. So, I started building a new life, new traditions with my kids, new relationships, new experiences. And you know what? I'm happier now than I ever was trying to fit into their idea of what I should be. That's exactly what this trip is for me. I said, it's me choosing to build something new instead of begging for scraps from people who don't see my worth. And that's incredibly powerful. Marcus said, you're not just taking a vacation. You're reclaiming your narrative. You're showing them and yourself that you don't need their validation to be happy. We talked for another hour about life choices and the freedom that comes from releasing other people's expectations. By the time I went back to my room, I felt centered again, ready to continue enjoying every single moment of this trip. On Christmas Eve, the ship put on a spectacular dinner and show. I wore a floor-length red gown that made me feel like a movie star. Marcus, Rachel, David, and I had become inseparable by this point, and we took a group photo at dinner that I posted with the caption, "Found my chosen family on this ship. Proof that blood isn't the only thing that creates bonds. Merry Christmas Eve from the Caribbean, where the only snow is the white sand beaches and the only cold shoulders are from the air conditioning." That post got a comment from Sharon. "This seems really petty, Michelle." I responded publicly, "What's petty? Celebrating Christmas. I thought that's what we were all supposed to be doing." She deleted her comment. On Christmas morning, I woke up in my State 8 room to a breathtaking sunrise. I stood on my balcony in my pajamas with a cup of coffee and took a photo. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange, the ocean calm and glittering. Before I posted it, I thought about what I wanted to say. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about healing, about growth, about understanding my own worth. I wanted other people who felt excluded, diminished, or less than to see that there was another way. I posted it with a long caption, "Merry Christmas from somewhere over the Caribbean Sea." I woke up to this view, this peace, this perfect moment of solitude and contentment. There's no chaos, no obligation, no feeling like I'm not enough. Just me, the ocean, and the understanding that I deserve to create my own traditions. To everyone who's spending today feeling excluded, less than, or forgotten, you're not alone, and you're enough exactly as you are. The people who can't see that don't deserve a seat at your table, even if you once shared, pled with them. Here's to chosen families, to solo adventures, and to knowing your worth. May your Christmas be filled with whatever brings you peace. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within minutes, I had dozens of comments from people sharing their own stories of exclusion. A woman named Patricia wrote about being excluded from family events after her divorce. A man named James talked about being cut off after coming out. A young woman named Sophia shared how her family stopped inviting her to things after she chose a career they didn't approve of. The post was shared over 100 times. People were taking screenshots and posting it to other platforms. I'd accidentally started a movement of people choosing themselves, refusing to accept being diminished. And then buried in the comments, I saw one from Aiden. Jessica had clearly given him her phone because the message read, "Aunt Michelle, I miss you. Can you come home? Christmas is sad without you. Love, Aiden." My heart cracked open. Whatever issues I had with the adults, the kids didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this. Aiden was only 6. Emma was 4. They didn't understand the politics of exclusion. They just knew their aunt wasn't there. I commented back, "I miss you too, buddy. I'll see you soon. Love you." The post went viral among my friends. People started sharing it. I got messages from acquaintances, old classmates, even a few strangers thanking me for putting into words what they'd been feeling. And then my phone started ringing. First it was Jessica. I didn't answer. Then Michael ignored. My mother called 3 times in a row. I finally answered on the 4th call. "Michelle," she said, her voice strained. "We need to talk about these posts." "What about them? You're making us look bad. People are asking us questions, wondering why you're not with family for Christmas. Your Aunt Karen called your father this morning and gave him an earful. Uncle Tom did the same. Cousins are reaching out asking what happened. You're humiliating us." I laughed, a sound that came out harsher than I intended. "You mean people are realizing what you did? That you excluded me?" "We didn't exclude you," she protested, but her voice wavered. "We just wanted a more intimate gathering. You excluded me because I don't have children, because apparently my value as a family member is measured by my reproductive choices. You can try to spin it however you want, Mom, but that's the truth. You told me I wasn't family enough because I made different life choices than Michael and Jessica. That's not—" "We didn't mean it like that," she said, but even she didn't sound convinced. "Then how did you mean it?" I challenged. "Please explain to me how Christmas is only for parents now was supposed to make me feel included. Explain how I was supposed to interpret being told I wasn't welcome because I don't have kids. I'm genuinely curious." There was silence on the other end. In the background, I could hear my father asking who she was talking to. The sounds of the kids playing the TV on some Christmas special. "You made your decision," I continued, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. "I made mine. I chose to spend Christmas somewhere I wanted, even if that's in the middle of the ocean by myself. Or actually, not by myself, with people who see me as a complete person, not as a work in progress waiting to achieve motherhood." "You're being selfish," my mother said, her voice breaking. This was supposed to be special for the grandchildren, and my exclusion was supposed to be what? Invisible. Did you think I'd just quietly accept being pushed aside? That I wouldn't build a life that's just as valuable, just as worthy of celebration? Did you think I'd spend Christmas alone in my house with Cooper, crying into my wine, making you all feel better about your decision? We thought you'd understand," she said weakly. "Understand what? That I don't matter. Because that's the message you sent, Mom. You, Dad, Michael, Jessica, Sharon, you all told me loud and clear that my life, as I'm living it, isn't enough. Well, guess what? It is enough. It's more than enough. And I don't need your approval to know that anymore." "The children keep asking where you are," she admitted quietly. "Aiden wanted to know why Aunt Michelle isn't here to play games with him. Emma keeps asking if you're mad at her. They don't understand." That hit me harder than I expected. The last thing I wanted was for the kids to think I'd abandoned them or that I was angry with them. "You should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't family enough to include," I said, my voice softer now. "Those kids are innocent in this, and it breaks my heart that they're confused and hurting. But that's on you, Mom. You made this choice. You own the consequences, all of them. Please," she said, and now she was openly crying. "Please come home. We can fix this. We can have a second Christmas when you get back. We'll do better." "You don't get it," I said. "This isn't about one Christmas. This is about years of subtle messages that I'm not quite complete, not quite enough, about being asked when I'm going to settle down and start a family. As if my career and my life built count is settled. As if I haven't already started a family with Cooper and my friends and my patients. You didn't just exclude me from Christmas. You told me that everything I've built, everything I am, isn't valuable to you." "That's not true," she protested. "Then why did you agree to Sharon's plan? Why did you think it was okay to tell me I wasn't welcome? If you truly valued me as I am, you would have shut down that idea immediately. But you didn't. You went along with it. That tells me everything I need to know about how you see me." I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking. That afternoon, I went to the ship spa and got a massage. I posted a photo of the serene relaxation room with cucumber water in the caption, "Christmas afternoon spa treatment." Because self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. And unthriving. Boxing Day, we were at sea, and I spent the morning at one of the ship's pools. I'd made peace with my family's rejection in a way I hadn't expected. Being on this ship, surrounded by people who didn't judge me for being childless, who saw me as a complete person rather than a work in progress, had healed something I didn't know was broken. Rachel approached me at the pool with a mimosa. "You're glowing," she said. "I feel like I've shed a skin. I admit it. Like I've been carrying around this weight of not being enough, and I finally put it down." "Good for you," she said, clinking her glass against mine. "The people who matter will see your worth. The ones who don't weren't worth your time anyway." That evening, I posted a photo of the sunset from the deck with a caption, "Day 7. Halfway through this journey, and already a completely different person than when I boarded. Turns out the best Christmas gift I could give myself was permission to be enough exactly as I am. No conditions, no requirements, no need to prove my worth through someone else's accomplishments." My phone exploded with notifications. This time it wasn't just friends and acquaintances. Extended family members started reaching out. My Aunt Karen, my dad's sister, sent me a long message about how proud she was of me. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years commented their support. And then came a text from Michael. "Michelle, please call me. We need to fix this." I didn't call. Instead, I went to dinner with my cruise family and laughed until my stomach hurt. The next few days continued in the same pattern. I'd post photos of my adventures, a cooking class where I learned to make fresh pasta, a wine tasting where I discovered a love for Sancerre, an evening show that left me breathless. Each post was a testament to my joy, my freedom, my refusal to shrink myself to fit their narrow definition of family. The messages from my family increased in frequency and desperation. Sharon sent a long paragraph about how they'd made a mistake, how they wanted to make it right next year. Jessica video called and cried about how she missed me, how Christmas wasn't the same without me. My father sent a text that simply said, "I'm sorry, we were wrong." But the most significant message came from my mother on December 29th. "Michelle, your father and I have been talking. We realize we hurt you and we're sorry. We let Sharon's ideas influence us when we should have stood up for you. You're our daughter, and you matter just as much as Michael and Jessica, children or no children. Please, can we talk when you get home?" I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it to let them stew in their regret. But another part of me, the part that still loved them despite everything, knew that this was what I've been waiting for. Not just an apology, but an acknowledgement that they'd been wrong. I responded, "We can talk when I get home, but understand this. Things have changed. I've changed. I'm not going to shrink myself or hide my life to make you comfortable. I'm not going to accept being treated as less than because I made different choices. If you can't accept that, then we don't have much to talk about." She responded immediately. "We understand. We love you, Michelle. We want you in our lives fully and completely." On New Year's Eve, the ship threw an elaborate party. I wore a stunning gold dress that shimmered under the lights. Marcus, Rachel, David, and I toasted to new beginnings. At midnight, as fireworks exploded over the ocean, I posted a photo of the celebration with the caption, "And ending this year by choosing myself. Starting the next year the same way." To everyone who's been following this journey, thank you for the support. You reminded me that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who sees you, who celebrates you for exactly who you are. Here's to 2025 and all the adventures to come. And to the family members who finally understood the assignment, welcome back. But know this, my table has a new shape now, and not everyone gets a seat by default. Earn it. The post got hundreds of likes and comments, but the one that mattered most came from an unexpected source, my nephew Aiden. Jessica had let him use her phone to send a message. "Aunt Michelle, I miss you. Can you come to my birthday party in January? Mom says you're having fun, but I want you here." I smiled through tears and typed back, "I'll be there, buddy. Save me a seat next to you." When I disembarked on January 1st, I felt like a different person. The woman who had boarded this ship had been broken, rejected, unsure of her worth. The woman who stepped off was confident, healed, and crystal clear about her value. My phone buzzed with a text from Michael. "We're at the airport. Can we pick you up?" I paused, considering. Then I responded, "Yes, but we're having a serious conversation on the way home." When I saw them waiting at arrivals, Michael, Jessica, my parents, and even Sharon with the kids, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. relief that they'd come, anger that it had taken this much for them to realize what they'd done, hope that maybe, just maybe, this could be fixed. Aiden broke free from Sharon's grip and ran to me. "Aunt Michelle, you're back." I caught him in a hug, and just like that, some of the ice around my heart melted. My mother approached cautiously. "Michelle, I held up a hand. "Not here. Let's get home first." The drive back was quiet. The kids chattered about Christmas, about the presents they'd gotten, about how they'd missed me. The adults were silent, the weight of everything unsaid filling the car. When we got to my parents' house, because of course that's where we were going, we settled in the living room. The Christmas tree was still up, presents still scattered underneath. It looked like the perfect family Christmas I'd been excluded from. "Okay," I said, sitting down. "Talk." My father cleared his throat. "Michelle, we owe you an apology. A real one. What we did was wrong. We let ourselves be convinced that Christmas should only be for parents, and in doing so we told you that you didn't matter, that you weren't enough, and that was cruel." Sharon spoke up, tears in her eyes. "It was my idea. I thought it would be easier, less complicated. But I was wrong. I didn't consider your feelings, and I should have. You're the kids' favorite aunt, and they asked about you all day. We ruined Christmas trying to make it perfect." Jessica grabbed my hand. "I should have stood up for you. I should have told them it was a terrible idea. I'm your sister. I'm supposed to have your back. Instead, I went along with it because it was easier. I'm so sorry." Michael was crying openly now. You're my little sister. I'm supposed to protect you, not hurt you. I let Sharon's plan happen because I didn't want to rock the boat, and that was wrong. You matter. You've always mattered. Kids or no kids, your family." I looked at each of them, seeing the genuine remorse in their faces. "Do you understand why this hurt so much? It wasn't just about missing Christmas. It was about being told that my life, my choices, my existence as I am, wasn't valuable to you, that I was disposable." My mother was crying now too. "We know. And we're going to do better. You're invited to everything always. Not because you might have kids someday, but because you're our daughter, our sister, our family member, who we love exactly as you are." "And those social media posts," my father added with a small smile. "They taught us something important. You don't need us to be complete. You've built a beautiful life, and we should have been celebrating that all along instead of treating you like you were missing something." I felt the tears come, then the release of months of hurt. I needed to hear this. I needed you to see me. "We see you now," Michael said. "We see you, and we're sorry it took you going nuclear on social media for us to realize what we'd lost." I laughed through my tears. "I didn't go nuclear. I just chose happiness." "Best revenge I've ever seen," Jessica said, hugging me. "You didn't get angry. You got fabulous." Aiden climbed onto my lap. "Are you going to come to Christmas next year, Aunt Michelle?" I looked at my family, flawed, imperfect, but trying. "Yes, buddy. I'll be here next year." "Good," he said, snuggling into me. "It's not Christmas without you." Over the next few weeks, things slowly began to heal. My family made a conscious effort to include me, to value me, to see me as complete. They asked about my trip, looked at all my photos, listened to my stories about Marcus, Rachel, and David, who I'd stayed in touch with and planned to meet up with later that year. Sharon pulled me aside one day and handed me an envelope. Inside was a check, the amount I'd spent on the cruise. "I can't take this," I said. "Please," she insisted. "It's the least I can do. My stupid idea cost you a fortune in making your own Christmas. Let me make it right." I looked at the check, then at Sharon's genuine remorse. "Okay, but I'm donating it to a charity that helps single women and divorced women during the holidays. Women who might feel excluded or less than." She smiled. "That's perfect." My mother asked me to help her plan Easter, making sure I knew that my input was valued. My father started calling me every Sunday just to chat. Michael and I started having brother-sister dinners once a month, rebuilding what we'd lost. But the biggest change was in me. I'd learned that my worth wasn't dependent on anyone else's approval, that I could create my own traditions, my own family, my own joy. The cruise had been revenge, yes, but it had also been a gift to myself, a reminder that I was enough. On Valentine's Day, I posted one final photo from the cruise, a shot of me on the deck at sunset, arms spread wide, face turned to the sun. The caption read, "Someone asked me recently if I regret how I spent Christmas. If I regret making a scene with my social media posts, here's my answer. I regret nothing. I regret not the money spent, not the posts made, not the boundary set. What I do regret is all the years I spent thinking I needed to be someone different to deserve love and inclusion. To anyone out there feeling like you're not enough, you are. You're enough for someone's Christmas table, for someone's family, for someone's life. And if the people around you can't see that, find new people. Or better yet, be your own person. Be your own family. Be your own enough." That cruise taught me something invaluable. The best revenge isn't anger or bitterness. It's living so well, so fully, so authentically, that the people who dismissed you can't help but see what they almost lost. And then you get to decide if they've earned their way back into your life. Choose yourself first. Everything else will follow. The post got thousands of likes, was shared hundreds of times, and resulted in dozens of messages from people thanking me for inspiring them to value themselves. But the comment that meant the most came from my mother. "I'm proud of the woman you are, Michelle. I'm sorry it took me so long to tell you. You don't need children to be complete. You're already whole. Love you always." I smiled, took a screenshot, and saved it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's growth. It's healing. It's teaching the people who hurt you to do better while simultaneously learning that you never needed them to complete you in the first place. I never did book another solo cruise for Christmas. The next year I spent it with my family, my whole family, chosen in blood. But I kept those cruise photos, that emerald green dress, and the memory of standing on that deck with the ocean at my feet and the sky above me, finally understanding my own worth. And honestly, that's the best Christmas gift I've ever received. Not forgiveness from my family, though that was important. Not the apology, though that was necessary, but the gift of knowing deep in my bones that I am enough. With or without them, with or without anyone, I am enough. And that's not revenge, that's revolution.